I'm a little nervous. I'm just gonna stretch, procrastinate on starting this video. I literally made an outline for this, so I'm just gonna go through it. Yo, what's up? I'm Griffin Kenna. I'm an artist and producer, and I make vulnerable, dark pop songs about love, growth, and dreams. I know that sounds like really sterile. I'm gonna get better at that. I've been a musician since I was 5, and I just love making music. So to jump further, I sound like I'm giving a presentation. To jump further down the outline, sick. So I just wanted to run down a few things that I like, just kind of give you guys a background to know more about me. Some of them will be obvious, most of them will be obvious. I love songwriting. I've been sort of writing songs since I was like a young kid. I would like sing melodies and like write them down on scraps of paper, and I would keep them in my bedside table. And I'd get like notebooks over time, and eventually I probably wrote my first actual like complete song when I was like 12. It was a lullaby called Don't Cry, and it was like very simple. Heck, I'll play it right now. Hold on. Okay, this is the first song I ever wrote. Be gentle. Don't cry, 'cause everything's gonna be alright. It may not look that way, but it's sure to be fine. Don't cry, 'cause I swear I will try harder to make things better, to make things better. That was basically it. The don't cry, that's the part that goes behind. Anyway, that was my first song. I don't know, the meaning was just, I was just sad. The meaning was I was just sad and I just didn't want to cry. I was like kind of talking to God in it. In my songwriting, I generally have like 3 main topics. And then all my songs are like variations on these topics or combinations of these topics. And so those 3 topics are love. I write about love a lot. Love for my friends, love for my family, and romantic love is a thing I probably wrote the most about. Not probably, definitely. 2, my ambitions. I want to like achieve a bunch of awesome stuff and really make the most of my life and just do the things I love. 3, what's the third one? I have 3. Love, my ambition, and God. Wow, this is awkward. I'm just like holding up 3 fingers. Yeah, so the third one is my relationship with God, my spirituality. Sometimes I'm like writing about love for like a girl, but it switches to love for God. It's kind of weird, but it makes sense to me. And then also spurred in there is like, oh, I want to be great. Some songs are literally about all 3 of those topics. Yeah, that's kind of a little breakdown of what I write my songs about. So also, I play a lot of instruments. I grew up playing violin when I was 5 until when I was 11. Took viola for like a year and a half. And the reason I stopped is because I was like in an orchestra and I didn't like the teacher because I didn't like people telling me what to do ever. I love freedom, so I like probably talked too much during it. And I told my mom, I don't want to be in orchestra anymore. And then I ended up quitting altogether because she thought I just didn't want to play the viola. Not a big deal. Anyway, I started playing the drums at about 11 or 12. I picked up the guitar at like 12 or 13. I probably wrote that song on guitar when I was 12. That's like before I really knew how to play guitar. I just like plucked 2 notes back and forth. At this point, I mainly focused on like guitar and drums. I was now singing and writing songs at that point. I guess I was 13, I joined a band I played drums in. We were called Midnight Shenanigans. Formed a new band off of basically the same people, and it was called Wood. It was called Wood. So yeah, then I started playing some acoustic shows. Sometimes I'd play with my buddy Eamon. We'd play on acoustic guitar together, kind of back each other on different songs that we'd written. My senior year of high school, I recorded my first album. At this point, I'm able to play like a bunch of instruments decently. I can fake playing the piano, and I could play guitar, and I could play drums. You know, I could kind of fake the bass. So I just recorded this album, playing all the parts, and my buddy Trevor produced it. It was a lot of fun. I went to college for music, so I came out to Chicago. I guess then I should mention that I grew up in Massachusetts. In college, I picked up the bass. I was beginning to record a little bit then, and I was like, my songs need bass. That's why they don't sound as cool. I need like this nice low end. To kind of get good at the bass, I joined a couple bands, a cover pop band, joined a punk band. I eventually joined what was like a kind of like a folk pop band. Then we turned into like more of a pop band. And those bands were called Pine of the Origin. That was like the folk pop band. And then Strange Heights was the rock pop. I'd describe it as like dark pop rock. Actually, yeah, you could look them up on Spotify, Strange Heights. I really like the logo, the design, kind of the brand, the name. The music that we have out is pretty great too. So I also love recording. I've been recording a little bit since I was 11. My family got an iMac and it had GarageBand on it. I think I made a band. This is my first band. It was called P2R. It was Path to Redemption, and it was like a Christian band that I formed with my best friend and these two girls in our class. We did like the idea of writing songs. I remember we like opened a Bible once and we started like singing some like Bible verses, and it was pretty easy. And we're like, that's kind of cool. And then definitely the band was an excuse to hang out with these girls. I recorded a little bit through 5th grade and 6th grade when I was like 10, 11, 12. But eventually, maybe like around 8th grade, I got a nice microphone. I started recording myself, just playing acoustic guitar, this exact guitar. And I got a little bit more into it, maybe when I was a freshman in high school, around when I was 15. But it was kind of like really difficult. I would always be trying to play a song perfectly all the way through, not mess up, but then also manage the recording. And sometimes the mic would clip, and it just got really frustrating. And I was like, screw this, I don't want to do it anymore. And I didn't really record much again until I worked with my buddy Trevor when I was 18. So after that process, which was really fun, I was like, okay, that's really cool. I should do more recording again. Freshman year of college, I bought some gear. And again, I kind of dabbled slowly until I got more serious about like a year or two later. I heard this album. It was Darwin Deez's album. I think it was just called Darwin Deez. It was like his first album. He's kind of like a pop, rock, electric guitar, drum machine, indie rock. I don't know. But this album sounded so good to me. Anywhere I listened to it, it was like in my room, on my phone, in the car. It always sounded so good to me. And I was like, oh, this must have been mixed so professionally, done in like the nicest studio. And then I found out that it wasn't. My roommate at the time is like, hey, he might have recorded this in his room. I'm like, no way. I've like learned about some recording stuff. You can't do that just in your room. That's impossible. And I messaged him because he wasn't that huge. I think I messaged him on Twitter. And him or one of his friends got back to me because I asked, yo, I love your album, like who produced it? And then he said, I produced it. Or sorry, not me. He said, I produced it. I just used like this old PC tower, bunch of cracked Waves plugins, and this program called Sony Acid, which was just a digital audio workstation like Logic or Ableton or Pro Tools. And I was shocked. I was like, you made this on an old computer with like a $200 mic. And like, a cheap interface or something, like cracked plugins. I'm like, dude, this sounds so good. Literally, I have better stuff than that because I didn't have the plugins or something. But so I started digging into YouTube and stumbled across The Recording Revolution, which is a blog and a YouTube channel. I just like loved this channel. I just kind of like sucked up all the content, and it was kind of a little bit through this that I learned like I love educating myself, and I've learned really well that way. Anyone can learn pretty well on YouTube because it's like such a wealth of information, and the best stuff rises to the top generally. That kind of flipped my education perspective because I didn't love school, and then I'm like, whoa, I love learning, but like this, like not like this. I learn one thing in a YouTube video that takes 5 minutes, and then I immediately apply it to something I already care about, and then I know it forever. Like, whoa. In class, you learn like 20 things in one session, and then you don't apply any of them, and you don't really care about them. Then you like only take 5 to 10% of this information, unless you're really into it. If you're really into a class and a teacher is really entertaining and awesome, you can learn it really well. Don't get me wrong, but I love this YouTube learning thing. So I dug into all the Recording Revolution videos, practiced all these things, learned about compression and really how it works, learned about EQ and how it works. Inevitably stumbled upon many other YouTube channels, tutorials about how to mix and how to record well, and gain staging and all these different programs, etc. And then I just made a bunch of music. I recorded a lot. I got a MIDI keyboard and I started like using electric drums, and I was like, dang, electric guitar and drum machines sound so good. Which was, I was copying Darwin Deez essentially. At that point, my music started getting better significantly because I learned more tech. Basically, that was like the biggest thing. I was learning more tech, and it was so much fun that I was practicing a lot. Producing. So I like producing. I, at this point, have produced for other artists some like rock bands. Not very many. Kind of just like do most of the stuff on my laptop now with a MIDI keyboard. I got a bunch of great plugins and stuff, and they just sound great. So I just use those. And I use like mostly like sampled electronic drums now. Tech and gear. This is just another thing I might cover on this channel. I'm kind of like a nerd about gear and tech. I've had a fascination for recording gear ever since I was about 10. I would like stare at it online and be like, it'd be so cool to have this. So yeah, I've collected a lot of gear over the years and instruments. Performing. I've gotten the chance to do performances since I was young. I would do like violin recitals, orchestra things. I grew up singing in choirs. I went to this private school called Imago, and it had about 100 kids in 8 grades. And we like just had choir basically as a class. And then we also got to do performances 3 times a year. They thought it was a good part of the curriculum. So I was getting used to performing, even though I'm like naturally a little bit shy sometimes. I don't know. I used to be really nervous performing. I acted in a play in 2nd grade. I was like 8 years old. And it was in front of like 200 people every year at the end of the year. I think I had 2 lines. I played 2 different minor roles, and I was so nervous for this line. I got like really nauseous before. I told my teacher, I'm like, I don't know if I'm okay. Like, I don't feel good. And she was just like, oh, just like breathe. It's okay. Like, and anyway, I did end up sitting on stage. I didn't throw up, like, luckily. I said my 1 line, and then later I said my other 1 line, and it was all okay. In 7th grade, I think I'm 12 at this point, I got this like major role. My teacher, Miss Di, at the time, my 7th grade teacher, kind of vouched for me. I think she liked my voice from hearing me sing in chapel. We had chapel every morning too, so more opportunity to sing, and then I went to church on Sundays and sung there. So I basically sung every single day. That did help. And I liked to sing, so I would sing out, and instead of like being like, I would like actually sing because I enjoyed it. So yeah, I got this major part in this play, and I was like the modern major general. That was the character's name. It was Pirates of Penzance, and it had this like a bunch of acting and singing roles. It was big for me in that like I got to showcase my voice solo, and it was like a cool opportunity where I had to push myself out of my comfort zone. And then the next year I played one of the main roles, and I think I had acted and sang in 1 other play in high school too. So that was kind of like a good intro to doing like solo stuff, kind of. Probably when I was 13, I performed my first song in front of some new friends that we had at the time. And by performed for the first time, I mean I performed one of my original songs in front of other people besides my mom and my sister for the first time. And I was really nervous. I was like super nervous. And I kind of got the panicky feeling like, I don't want to do this, it's so scary. But I did it, and it went well. And like they were kind of impressed. They were like, oh, you wrote that? And that sounds really good. And that was like extremely encouraging to me. That really like hyped me up. And from there, I kind of showed the song to more people and other people in my family. So I've performed ever since. I've done like coffee houses and small shows. I haven't like performed a ton, but I've performed a good amount. Performing something I want to get even better at. I used to always perform with my acoustic guitar when I performed my solo stuff. Sorry, there's trains passing. I live next to a train. You may have already noticed. And then I would also perform playing drums and singing in a band I was in. I kind of touched on it before, but my faith is a big part of my life. I'm a Christian. I'm what I call an open-minded Christian, which means I just like kind of consider more ideas, and I'm really open to discussion about these things with people that are not Christians and people who are Christians. My faith and ideas and all that sort of stuff are developing, but I think nevertheless there's like really deep wisdom in the Bible, and so I think it's worth reading. It gives me a lot of comfort. I'm constantly kind of in conversation with God. It's like my grounding point. The closer I am to God, pretty much the happier I am, and the more clearly I see things, the more wise decisions I make, and the less dumb ones I make. so it's a pretty important thing to me. It gives me a lot of joy. If you don't have the Bible app, you don't have to get it, but it's pretty cool. There's like stories you can watch. There's like the verse of the day. There's little like images with verses on them, and there's a bunch of plans too. You can like look up plans. You're like dealing with stress or anxiety, healing your spirit, working on forgiveness, gaining control, or any of these things. There's like thousands and thousands of different plans that go through different Bible verses and apply it to like real life situations. The Bible is like essentially a self-help book, a giant ancestral self-help book that's like how to live a great life. That's my faith. I guess I'm gonna touch on a couple of my like favorite pieces of content. I watch a lot of YouTube tutorials and videos on like music production and mixing, mastering, marketing, graphic design, Photoshop and video editing, and all that type of stuff. I'm not like amazing at any one thing. I'm pretty good at making music, but I like a lot of things and I have an interest in a lot of things. I also listen to like ASMR. I have trouble sleeping and it really relaxes me at night. Not everyone is familiar with it, but it's also like extremely popular on YouTube. It's just basically people talking about random things and hushed tones, and it's really calming to me. And then other things I love TV shows. I love like campy, silly, light-hearted shows. Chuck, I love Chuck. I love like spy shows. Like I like Burn Notice. I kind of like those episodic shows about crime too. The ones that are funnier especially, like Psych and Monk. And I've gotten into anime in the past like few years, but I'm really like fighting animes like Naruto. I'm watching One Piece right now, and probably my favorite is Yu Yu Hakusho. Awesome fighting anime. I used to be obsessed with Friends, The Office, Parks and Rec. Yeah, like I rewatch shows a lot. I've seen The Office 12 times all the way through and has 9 seasons. Apparently that's not that weird. I think Billie Eilish said that too. My Strange Addiction. Pretty positive it's about The Office. I think she talks about it. So yeah, maybe that's my strange addiction too. I have lots of addictions, I guess. Maybe I shouldn't say that. I obviously love listening to music. I'm a weird music listener. I kind of get wrapped up in a few artists at a time, almost like careful to add new artists. I'm just like really particular. So I listen to Lauv. I love Lauv. I love Jeremy Zucker. I love Quinn 92. In the past I've loved Coldplay and Maroon 5. I like plenty of artists. These are just some of my top ones. I used to love Ben Folds. Kings of Leon. I really like Kings of Leon. Benny. She's dope. My friends. So I have like really close friends that I love to death. I live in this house with other musicians and videographers. Rashad, he's an engineer and producer and songwriter, rapper. Gary is a filmmaker. He's also a musician. Andy is a videographer, editor. He's kind of a poet too, and plays a little bit of guitar too, I think. I think like everyone in this house can play guitar. James is my friend who's the cook. He's a guitarist and a songwriter and a chef, really good chef. And I've actually known him since high school. He's one of my high school friends. And then there's Franco. He and I have been friends since I was about 20. He was like one of my first real musician friends here. And we kind of clicked, and it took me like a year and a half or something to find another musician I really clicked with. So that was a big deal for me. And he's around here sometimes too. He just doesn't live here. And I have a bunch of other friends too. Awesome, close friends, honestly, that are just as close as them. But that was kind of our core group. I have a big family, so I'm like one of 6 kids. My parents are luckily still together. They're awesome. I love them to death. And then I have 2 brothers and 3 sisters. My family is definitely musical. Everyone has played an instrument and sang, and everyone has a good ear. My parents were both musicians, and they were very supportive of us doing artistic things. They gave me like lots of lessons over the years. I've taken violin lessons and drum lessons and guitar lessons, a little bit of voice lessons, a bunch of things. So I've been really fortunate. Oh, I'm excited to make some YouTube content. It's gonna be fun. So lastly, I just wanted to go over some things that I want to do, and then I want to ask what you guys might like to see or how you'd like to get involved. I just want to make this like a cool, fun space for all of us. Fan FaceTimes at some point. I know it sounds silly. I don't really like using the word fan. It's more just like I want to be friends with people that think similarly to me and who resonate with the content and music I put out. So maybe I should call it friend FaceTimes. I like that better, friend FaceTimes. So at some point I want to just like FaceTime with anyone that's interested in my content or my music. I'd love to talk to you, and I think it'd be cool to share that with other people that are interested in my content. So if you're down, like let me know in the comments down below. Yeah, I think that'd be really fun and a cool way for us to like kind of live in a community together around this stuff. So yeah. Live streams. I'm gonna do live streams at some point. So I'm gonna do 2 types of live streams. 2 types. Live stream concerts where I'll perform my songs either with tracks or a live looping setup. I have to get better at that first. I love doing it, but it's really hard and it's new to me. And then I'm gonna do like live streams of me writing and producing that people can just watch. I'll have them posted too. I think it'd be like a cool thing for me to talk about my process and capture a bunch of it, so I think it's really useful for that. And it actually puts some pressure on me to be like, all right, I gotta use this time effectively. Oh, what's a really cool part? What's a really good lyric? And sometimes, honestly, I will sit on that live stream for 2 hours and just be writing lines. My writing process or producing process can be very slow, or it can be really fast. It just goes both ways. I'm gonna do performance videos for my songs. These are all things I'm aspiring to do, so be patient. My life is like busy and I'm trying to get more organized. I got this planner. It's definitely suggested by a music guy online. Dude's name eludes me at the moment. I'll think of it later. I'll probably do like a video about all the people I like on YouTube. Productivity planner. Might sound cheesy, but I like self-help stuff, and it's kind of like a self-help book plus a calendar schedule book. So hopefully that'll help me actually do all this stuff. And then eventually I want to do music videos. For me right now, like, music videos are kind of expensive. I just am procrastinating on it kind of, but also like want to come up with like really great music video ideas that are not super expensive, but I will do them eventually in some form. And then so lastly, what do you guys want to see? Like, what do you guys want to do? I mentioned a bunch of cool content ideas. If there's anything else that would pique your interest, let me know. I don't mind talking about any of these topics too. If they happen to interest you, that's awesome. Well, thank you for watching. You can like and subscribe. I'll get better at that pitch. I'm gonna figure out a better pitch right now, actually. What's my pitch? What's my YouTube pitch? Can you tell me? I might do a little like animation. Hey, what's up? Lastly, this is my room. I thought I'd give you a little like mini tour. It's not huge, but it's where I make all my stuff. These are my guitars, a bass, and an electric. This is my acoustic. This is like my studio setup. This right here is my rack case. It's basically my performance rig, but it's also my studio rig. So it just has an interface in it. Yeah, those are some MIDI controllers. Keep this little piano down here. My buddy James found it at one of our old apartments, but it's great when I'm like choosing the key for songs. These speakers are awesome. I've used them for years and years and years, and I love them. This is my laptop, really basic. It's like a 2014. Bought it for like 700 bucks, used like 2 years ago. Devotional book. This is my planner. I have editing the Who Am I video today. There we go, look at that. This is my closet / vocal booth. I have shirts and jackets and sweatshirts up here, which actually work as pretty good sound treatment. I have this art piece by my friend Belle that I love. Love it. I have some like nice colored and vintage light bulbs in here, and I have my microphone. That's pretty much it, you know? I just use it as a vocal booth and a closet. Yeah, so that's my room. I have this little backdrop I do my performances against. I use it for a photo shoot too. That's about it. Yeah.